Hi, and welcome back to Sewing with Jen. Today we're going to be making this lovely corset the way I like to make it. Here are some of the tools that I am using for this project. The fabrics I have are upholstery fabrics that were donated to me. This one I'm using for the canvas layer, this is the lining, and this is the outer. So I'm going to start by taping my bodice or model. So you can do this on yourself as well. And you can just tape around your midsection. And I'm going to mark the center front and the center back and tape away. And once we have that, I'm going to start marking the center front with the marker, draw my waistline, so that's where the waist hits, and draw some cool style lines. This is where you get to design the shape of your corset and kind of lay out and map out where you want all the style lines to be. I kept this one really simple just for the sake of the tutorial, but you can draw these however you want, really. Alright, so we're going to carefully peel off that tape and I'm going to cut it on the style lines that run up and down and set them aside to put on top of my paper, and this is how we're going to make our pattern. Lay, smush, smush, smush. So you just lay your pattern on top of the paper like this, and this is how we're going to create our pattern. Okay, so I'm writing down that I'm doing a 1/2 inch on the side seams and a whole inch on the top seams, although I can see on piece number 3 that I think I forgot to add the inch on that top part. So, yeah, sometimes we make mistakes in life, and that's totally okay. We'll just figure it out in the end and keep on trucking. Cut. Okay, and then I went back and added an inch, a whole inch for the center back. So that'll be for where we're going to put the lacing. And that'll give us enough space in the back to turn it under if we need to, or cut it off if we need to. Make any kind of mistakes we need to. Cool. Look how far we've come. I'm so proud of us. Alright, so I layered all 3 fabrics on because I like to live on the edge of danger like that. And I'm just cutting through all 3 of them with my rotary blade cutter on the edges like that, and separating them so you can see that I'm actually cutting them. Yes, go. Corners got a little pesky, so I had to go back and then cut those, but that's okay. It's coming out great. And those are all the layers you can see as I pull them away. Cut. Here is our outer fabric and our lining with our canvas inner fabric that's not going to be seen in the final product. So now we're going to go ahead and sew the outer fabric together like so, and I'm just sewing the 2 pieces together and then flat stitching them. I think flat felt, one of the 2. But yeah, you just turn that seam back and stitch it flat. Whoa, look at that. Our corset is finished. I'm just kidding. But it is very rewarding to be able to put it on the mannequin and see our progress. So now we're going to do the same exact thing with the lining and the canvas as well. And the lining, I flat stitch after stitching it together, and then the canvas, I don't do that because we're going to do that when we sew the boning on the Rigelene. Rigelene! You can buy this in bulk, and I like to put my machine on a zigzag stitch when I sew it down. And just make sure you use a thick enough needle so it doesn't keep breaking. And you're just going to sew that on top. So see how my seams aren't flat yet? And once I go to sew the boning down, it will flatten that seam. So I just cover that seam up with it. That's what it looks like on both sides. I do it about a finger space from the bottom, so that way I have enough room to sew my bias tape in at the end, and it doesn't get in the way of the boning or anything like that. And it still looks nice. Check it out. This is where I placed each piece, so you can see it'll be easy to roll up the corset for safekeeping and storage. All right, enough of that. Saying, girl. But now I am... What am I doing? What are you doing? You're working too fast. So I'm pinning all 3 layers together on the top and the bottom and just going around, and I line them up on each seam right there, so you can see me pinning the seam first, and then I stretch it and pull it to fit in between. Because what I'm gonna do, and so all the pieces are facing outward and the canvas is in between, sandwiched in between. Because then what I'm gonna do is just stitch it down all the way around, and then add the bias tape on all the sides, so you won't even see, it'll all be encased. So it'll be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Yeah, so like I said, I'm just gonna top stitch through all 3 layers and take my pins out as I go and stitch all the way around the bottom, all the way around the top and the sides as well, so they don't move when we work with our project. So pretty. Good job so far. Look at that. Looks like a real corset now. Alright, now I am measuring the top and the bottom because what I'm going to do is cut some strips out. They can be bias strips. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's your project, so it's your prerogative. I guess technically they're supposed to be bias strips because they're supposed to stretch, and if you're working with woven, it stretches on the bias, but I can just cut straight strips and it'll come out almost exactly the same. So I'm measuring it to make sure I know how long my strips need to be. Let's move that out the way, get my fabric, cut that out, fold it upright, and make sure we get the proper amount we need. Awesome, got it. Okay, so I'm sewing the right side of the strip to the back side of the project. Then I turn it over, fold it under, and just top stitch it. Yeah, so this is the placement that I have decided to use for the grommets. I'm using a medium-sized grommet. They're not the typical small ones, so they're a little bit easy to cut the holes out of. The green thing over there is my grommet setter. It was a gift from a friend. I think he gave us off of Amazon, so I'm sure you can find one real cheap. And then the bag came with it. The bags of grommets came with the grommet setter. It could be grommet setter, it could be eyelet setter, whichever. And they come with a front piece and a back piece. Then I have some cording that I'm just going to lace through corset style so you can see what it looks like. And here is our finished corset. There's a few things I probably would have fixed on it, like maybe just pinching it on the side a little bit more so it has more of a curve, but other than that, it came out beautiful.